after we witnessed in LSU on Sunday night, Brian Kelly does Brian Kelly things, slamming his hand on the desk. This is ridiculous. These players suck. I hate these players. Blah, 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 blah.
Then leave.
Tim.
I just
Because
don't
that's how
understand right
Brian
now.
Kelly
I
coaches.
just don't understand it anymore. It's you're acting like you don't know the game well enough, and it's like, oh, here's my first chance on the big stage. Let me just.
NFL season is here, fellas. Welcome back to episode 127 of Cinco Squad. I'm Jonathan Sawyer. With me, my brothers, Grandpa J, Trey Day, and Mike A. Fellas, NFL season is back. College football, what a week one it was. A lot of great matchups. FSU is in the toilet like we expected, but they can still win the ACC. And we have Trey's Ohio State showing out why they're spent that $20 million. Spent that $20 million right. And my Michigan
Money well
Wolverines, I guess you were right, Trey. Alex Orchie didn't even start the season.
I didn't think you were right. That's so when I got that news, I said, damn, I thought we at least get to a conference game before we got here. But all right.
Didn't even get to start Davis Warren. But shout out to Davis Warren because this is his first game after being diagnosed with leukemia. So this is a big moment for him and Michigan football to the right step forward. Yeah. But college football week one was jam-packed of great games, great opportunities. Mikey, congratulations on going down to Kyle Field and dominating the Texas A&M Aggies and getting a big SEC win. That is the win you needed. That is what you guys needed. That is the Notre Dame team I've been waiting for. Now, granted, it's not the big player in SEC, but you went down there, you beat a team that was going to be ranked in the probably top 15 by the end of the year. Congratulations on that. What were your thoughts on that? Just recapping that just a little bit.
Yeah, so and Grandpa Jay happened to be on the couch next to me during that game, so he heard how loud I was yelling in both disgust and excitement. It was great, you know. It is. You're right. It's not the big powerhouse of the SEC, not considered one of the big powerhouses of the SEC, but they were saying during the game they do consider it possibly the toughest stadium to play in college football right now. So. I'm not exactly sure about that, but it's probably one of the toughest. So I was very happy. I was very happy with how Marcus Freeman coached, how Riley Leonard integrated himself into the offense for the first time in actual, game action. One thing I did say about the offense is I'm a little concerned about how much they had to run Riley Leonard. I don't think the offense works long-term with him having to be the primary ball carrier, but Jeremiah Love, picked it up near the end of the game. And I told Grandpa Jay after the game, I was like, I got a feeling that's just how this season's going to go. They're not going to blow anyone out. They're going to have to grind for every win. But you know what? I kind of want to see that out of that Notre Dame. Show their toughness.
Yeah, I just love how Ty led them out of the tunnel, man. He was so fired up. Yeah. He's like, I don't give a damn if 100,000 fans are against this. Yeah, he was.
Well, if there's one guy to turn that program around, and I'm sorry, but they needed to be turned around after we witnessed in LSU on Sunday night, Brian Kelly does Brian Kelly things, slamming his hand on the desk. This is ridiculous. These players suck. I hate these players. Blah, 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 blah. Tim.
I don't get it, bro.
Like, we expect.
Whatever happened to just get easy points? You're playing a tough neutral site game. Take the points. I just don't understand right now. I just don't understand it anymore. You're acting like you don't know the game well enough, and it's like, oh, here's my first chance on the big stage. Let me just make sure. First of all, it tells LSU you're afraid of them right away when you just don't want to take the points because you figure you need to score to keep up with them.
Yeah,
stupid.
No, I can tell you from firsthand experience.
And looking at Brian Kelly, this is how he performs in big moment games. He doesn't. He does not perform. At Notre Dame, they got blown out in the national championship game, and the college football playoff, they got blown out in that game. In any type of big game, Ohio State.
3 season openers in a row. Bang.
They lose. LSU probably has the talent, most likely has the talent because it's LSU at the end of the day. I don't want to say it's him that he's bringing these recruits. That tiger on that helmet, that LSU on that logo, that's what brings recruits to LSU because you want to contend for a national title. But at the end of the day, this is what Brian Kelly does. So,
2 phrases have been going through my head all week this week. Some things are bigger than sports. And not all heroes wear capes. Giving a shout out to Sergeant Joe L. Harrell of the San Francisco Police Department, who very well may have saved the life of rookie wide receiver Ricky Pearsall. See, for those that don't know, Ricky Pearsall got into a little skirmish with a 17-year-old boy that was trying to rob him of his Rolex watch, and in the process, both ended up getting shot, Pearsall through the chest. Sergeant Harrell was first on scene, and her heroics, quick thinking, and patience possibly led to Pearsall remaining alive to this day and being able to not only touch the football field, but be able to walk, be able to breathe. She went over as soon as she arrived, being first on scene, and knew to put her right hand, which she said was her strong hand, onto the wound as he lay on the ground, creating a suction effect that kept air from getting in and therefore slowed the blood flow. There was already a pool of blood, according to Sergeant Harrell, when she got to Pearsall, and her main concern was slowing the bleeding and making sure that he stayed awake and alert. And she did tell him, "It's not your time. God is with us." I don't know if God was with Ricky that day, Sergeant Harrell, but I know you were. And because of that, that man's alive. So, bravo, Sergeant Joel Harrell. You are the best among us.
It was a lot of great matchups. Watching Florida State go down, we all called it. DJ is not the guy. He's never been the guy. He should have stayed at Oregon State, done his 4 years, and then gone and be an accountant or something, because he's not going to the NFL, right? So, or it might be like the dude from freaking Miami, where he's there for 9 years. But it was a great week of
sports. Hey, my man's got a touchdown this week. Don't be coming.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
McCormick had a touchdown this week.
So we had a lot of great college football players going into week one. Which player would you want to shout out, starting off with Grandpa Jay?
The obvious would be for me to go to my Heisman hopeful, Jackson Dart, who played a freaking phenomenal game. But, I got to rub it in for these Gator fans. Cameron Anthony Ward was out there like he was on a playground with a bunch of 8th graders, and he was a senior just flinging it around, having fun, doing his thing. That throw at the end of the game where he rolled to his left and threw it across his body in the back of the end zone at about 60 miles an hour, just pinned his receiver right up there, back of the end zone. Only his guy could go up and get it. As pro as it gets. The guy walked into the swamp, and they walked out looking at those recruits saying, "Y'all at the wrong school. Y'all need to come down south to the U." Because he single-handedly decided he was going to take that game over. I mean, the big running back transfer was supposed to be the real deal. 65 yards, pretty modest game, no touchdowns. Cam carried Miami on that back. Gave Florida the worst loss I think they've had in program history against Miami. And he just kind of maybe even cemented himself in the conversation right now for the Heisman. So Cameron Anthony Ward, job well done.
We will see a new quarterback for Florida this week as Marantz, I think his name, Marantz or whatever his name is, has a concussion. So we'll see the backup. That has been the highly recruited backup.
Yeah, best freshman in the country, or best freshman QB in the country.
Mm-hmm. My pick is my Heisman trophy, Mr. Travis Hunter. 7 receptions, 132 yards, and 3 touchdowns. 3 tackles on defense. Their defense was non-existent most of the first half and third quarter. But it's early in the season. But 150 out of 116 snaps, he played 115 of them. Now, as we all spoke, this cannot sustain throughout a 12-game season. And if they go into the playoff and the Big 12 championship, it will not sustain. He's going to have to either pick a side, because injuries will come up and it will hurt his draft stock going into next year. But Travis Hunter is my pick of player of the week this week. And they have a tough test going to Nebraska, a Big Ten school that's on the rise, that's kind of question mark. They brought in a lot of transfers in Nebraska. This could be Nebraska's first true test of the season. How they handle a high-powered offense like this. Shador's going to throw the ball all over the field, how their defense reacts. But looking at Nebraska, they got the Michael Jordan Mahomes at their school right now.
Right.
And Dylan Raiola, he's rocking the shades. He's rocking the mohawk. He's getting shout-outs from Patrick Mahomes. So it's going to be a tough test going into Nebraska. I think Nebraska's still a few years away. I don't think they're going to be up in the Big Ten as much as we think they are, maybe middle of the road. But I think, it's a tough test going into Lincoln, and we'll see what happens. Trey Day, who you got for player of the week?
All right, we'll go to the young people here. Got a shout out, and I'm just gonna shout out two dudes really quick. We got freshman receivers, and these guys look like fucking adult men. Ryan Williams, Alabama. The guy's 17 years old. He's not even 18. The guy can't even buy a pack of cigarettes yet. The guy has 2 catches for 139 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's 17. That's fucking crazy. Then, of course, I got to go to Ohio State and shout out my guy, Jeremiah Smith. 6 catches, 92 yards, 2 touchdowns. Going to be a future Biletnikoff winner. That guy's a monster. I told people when I saw that tape before he even got there, I was like, no, this guy looks like fucking DK Metcalf, like for real. Like that guy's going to be an issue to deal with. But I'm just looking at 2027 draft already and saying, hey, let's get ready to tank. I mean, I'm a Steelers fan. My Steelers, outside of George Pickens, we don't got that many. So, Jeremiah Smith, I would love to see him in a Steelers uniform in a couple years, Jeremiah. Just tank for Jeremiah. We need to start the campaign right now. 27 draft is going to be crazy with those two guys coming up.
Justin Fields and Jeremiah.
Well, Ohio State is wide receiver U, so they breed wide receivers like Alabama breeds running backs. So, that kid from Alabama. Now, granted, you guys, I honestly weren't playing anybody very of a high caliber, but it was good to see the breakout games. It was good to see because you could be stuck in those games. Those could be trap games that those teams come into the Horseshoe or Bama and put a upset alert, right? So Mikey Mike, who is your player of the week? And I'm kind of guessing it's going to be Riley Leonard, but
you'd think so, but it's actually not Riley Leonard. I'm going to go away from Notre Dame. I'm going to head all the way to the Boise State Broncos and their junior running back Ashton Jeanty, who proceeded to have 20 carries and 267 yards and 6 touchdowns against Georgia Southern. On the road, but it's still Georgia Southern, I know. But yeah, he made a statement. So do I hear dark horse for the Heisman? Probably not. When they face tougher opponents, I'm sure he won't put up those kinds of numbers. But yeah, career life game.
Season numbers.
Yeah, he did all right. He did okay.
And they got a tough test this weekend, Boise State. They got to go. Yes, they're 19.5 underdogs right now against Oregon, which is a high-powered offense.
They did not look that great themselves.
They didn't look good either, and it could be a trap game for Oregon. I think it's Eugene, so we'll see what happens. It was great college football back to back every single day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It was just nonstop. At one point, I was like, God damn, I'm watching a lot of football. I think I'm getting worn out right now for so much football. But
how much do y'all really care about announcers? Do I expect Tom Brady to be good in the booth? Yeah, I was iffy at first, but the more I thought about it, I think Brady's going to be pretty good in the booth. But my thing is, I'm watching this being advertised as this is Tom Brady's game in the booth. There's a football game going on, people, so let's remember that. Let's not forget the facts of that. Maybe some of y'all watch the game for commentators. I don't. I watch the game because I like to watch sports. That's me. There are times where it may be an announcer that I don't like, and you know what happens? I either just ignore that announcer or I mute them. If it's an announcer that I like let's say my guy Gus Johnson or Al Michaels in his prime days, or in the NBA, people like Kevin Harlan, Mike Breen. I love to watch these guys call games. Yes, they do enhance the game. But if we were going to sit here and say, damn, this announcer's really ruined the game, then let's be real. I'm on the internet. None of y'all be watching CBS with Tony Romo on Sundays, but y'all don't turn the game up. None of y'all watching CBS with Gary Danielson on Saturdays because y'all all keep telling me online they're ruining the game. Y'all don't turn the game up. You know what y'all do? Y'all either mute it, you're at the bar, you talk to your friends. So please, people, I do get that Brady is the GOAT when it comes to being a quarterback in the league. And not for long, by the way, Patrick Mahomes is coming. But like I said, I get these to GOAT, and we do want to sit here and, honor that Brady's getting to the booth. But don't forget, people, there are going to be football games. So let's not make every week the Tom Brady show. Let's still remember there are going to be good games. The Browns and Cowboys, I think it's going to be a very interesting matchup. And please, let's not lose sight of that. But best of luck, Tom Brady. I'm sure you will kill it out there.
The football doesn't stop, guys. It starts tonight. Chiefs, Ravens, in Arrowhead, banner night. Going to be full of emotions. Chiefs lost last year's opening night to the Lions, which really put the Lions on the map and okay. I see what you got there. We're gonna go with our NFL storylines to start off. We're gonna play a little game we played in the past called This or That, and we gotta pick a scenario. Basically, all 4 of us picked a scenario. We're going around the horn, pick this or that. See who wants to go first. So, who wants to go first?
I got it.
I'll go.
All right.
Okay, so multifaceted here. NFL is about passing, but we'll take it here. So, is it more likely this or that for someone to break the sack record, or for someone to break the sack record this year, single season sack record, or for someone to break the single season touchdown passing record this year? I'll give you a quick background here. The single season sack record is tied for 22 and a half with Michael Strahan and TJ Watt. That record has been broken. 11 of the top 20 single season sack records have happened since 2010. As far as the most touchdowns in the season, that record stands by Peyton Manning. 15 of the top 20 have been recorded since 2010. So again, this or that, the best. Will we have a new sack record broken, more likely, or a new touchdown record?
For how many touchdowns?
Peyton at 55.
Yeah, I think the only quarterback to get the job done with this is Patrick Mahomes. And we said this last week that the Chiefs went out and got him a receiving core. Finally, they got Xavier Worthy, they got Rashid Rice, they got, I think, McCole Hardman's back. I think some guys that he trusts. I mean, Juju's back. I mean, they won a Super Bowl together. At the end of the day, Juju is going to be a good role player on that team. Not critical, but he's going to be a role player. Then you got this guy named Travis Kelce on the team, best tight end in the league. So the guy to do it is going to be Patrick Mahomes. The question that everyone says is how is that broken over sacks? Well, the NFL is moving the game more towards passing. They're moving it away from the running back just based on paying the running backs what they are deserving. So naturally, offenses have increased their percent. I mean, if you look at a statistic sheet from probably 2010 up, you probably see the increase in passing per game. It's probably now 70-30, where you pass 70 times to run 30 times. It's a very low number, so I can see that number being broken more than the sacks record. Now, granted, that's a tough one because if you're passing more, which means you're more in the pocket, you're more susceptible to sacks. So it could be, and there's only one or two guys that I think can break that, and that's TJ. And I think he'd be hungry, but he's got to last the whole season. So I'm going to say touchdowns will be broken this year by Patrick Michael Jordan Mahomes.
No, it's sacks. It's sacks. It's sacks because of a few different things. To the Mahomes point, I agree. Like, if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be Mahomes. But as Grandpa Jay pointed out last week during his Chiefs win segment, they did have the most dropped passes last year. So I don't think it will be as bad this year because I think they have obviously better receiving core. But the thing with passing touchdowns is it doesn't necessarily always matter how good of a quarterback you are because you are dependent on the guys you're throwing to catching the ball and getting into the end zone. With the sacks record, it's you. Like, if you get into the backfield, you can get a sack. You're not depending on other people. And I think there's 3 people that might be able to do it in the league right now. Actually, 4. 4 come to mind. TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, Nick Bosa, and Micah Parsons. So I think it's way more likely that, being that there are more candidates and being that it is less dependent on the talent and ability of other people to get that sack record. So if anything's going to get broken, it's the sack record.
Well, I disagree about the Chiefs. I mean, they went and revamped their entire receiving core. They got Rashid Rice, Marquise Brown, Xavier Worthy, and then you got Mr. Reliable, Travis Kelce, who had a lot of drop passes. But when you bring a whole new receiving core like that with a quarterback like him, I think it does matter who the quarterback is throwing him the ball. So I disagree with that fact that, yeah, okay, we can go by last year, but most of those receivers that were on the team last year are not there anymore because of that reasoning. And then when I look at Nick Bosa has declined since like the last 3 years. He has not been the same explosiveness off the line that I've noticed off him. Now, granted, 3 years ago I would have been saying yes, but he is not the same Nick Bosa that I've seen in the last few years, getting in the backfield, disrupting that he's supposed to be. Now, I don't know if that's because they're throwing him out in the flats more, kind of like what we did with Hassan Reddick. But, when I said on Nick Bosa, I don't see him. Michael Parsons, I think, isn't he a linebacker?
They play him all around.
He plays too much in the back. He plays too much coming out, and they need him, especially with losing Van Der Esch last couple of years. They need him coming back. So I think TJ Watt is the only one I think going to break his record if he could stay healthy throughout the whole season. I don't think those two can because they're too reliant on them dropping back. But I just disagree with the point about the Chiefs last year dropping a bunch of passes and
right.
Like,
well, no, I don't bring it up.
Receiving core that's 10 times better than those guys, and they're ultimately, just a better receiving core there. So I just disagree with that.
No, but like I said, I don't think they're going to drop as many passes this year because their receiving core is better. That's more to illustrate the fact that Mahomes maybe could have broken the passing touchdown record if his receivers didn't drop balls. It's more a universal thing where if your receivers don't catch the ball, you can't have touchdown passes. That's my point.
Yeah.
So I'm just using that as an example of like, okay, you said Patrick Mahomes. In the case of last season, does he break the touchdown record? Probably not, because a lot of the drop passes were away from the end zone. But you never know what the receivers do when they catch that ball, if they're able to catch it. So that's just my point there.
All right, Grandpa Jay, who are you taking?
While we know they're opening up the game, and I'm tempted to say that we may see a quarterback we didn't think kind of flirt with 50. I think a quarterback's going to get in there 50. I don't think we're going to see a quarterback throw for 56 this season. So if we're just going off for this season, the obvious answer is not will the sack record get broken. Will TJ Watt break the sack record this year and break his own record, which he has tied at this point? So he's averaged almost 19 sacks a game if you take out 2022 over the last 4 seasons because he was injured. So, yeah, 19 a season, which is pretty amazing.
He said a game.
Sorry, not a game, sorry.
Damn. Sorry. Yeah, hell yeah, he's going to break the record.
Sorry. He's averaging 19. He's right below 19 per season for the last 4. And if we don't include 2022 because he was injured for most, he had about 5 or 6 sacks. So being that's the case and he keeps flirting with it, chances are pretty high if he can stay on the field for at least 14 games this year. I think he'll have multiple games where he'll have multiple games with multiple sacks. And the way Pittsburgh's lining up this year, where the defense hopefully doesn't have to be on the field as much. So that means as the game goes on, even though Watt's a machine, obviously if you're on the field for too long, eventually you're going to get to the point where it's a little more wear and tear and you're tired and you can't really attack the quarterback as much as you would like. I feel he's going to have more fresh legs, which makes it much more dangerous for the opposing teams. So I think TJ gets to 23 and a half, maybe even 24 this year, and he breaks the record.
Wow. All right, Trey Day. Let's hear it.
The answer is sacks, and it's simply because, it's part of this is a math equation at the end of the day. If you were to do a quarterback, you have 17 games. That means you have to average slightly over 3 touchdowns per game. So there may be a game or two you don't get 3 touchdowns. As the sack record, you just need slightly over 1 per game. So you figure if a guy like TJ Watt just gets there 1 time per game, then now he's basically in the running for that. And to answer questions, who could potentially do it? There's multiple people. TJ could potentially do it. Myles Garrett definitely could potentially do it. Parsons can, and partly because he moves around in different spots, which is why he could do it, because they don't keep him in the same spot, which then means they move him to the point at times where, okay, strong left tackle, let's move him to the right. Okay, strong right tackle, put him in middle linebacker. Okay, well, that's tough, put him here. So now they can, if they had the right game plan, they should be able to game plan him actually to beat TJ or Myles Garrett because he moves around the most. To be honest, TJ stays on the same side all day, and so does Myles Garrett. Other people to consider, I don't think he'll get there, would be Max Crosby, but I don't think he'll get there because I think the Raiders will be playing from behind a lot of the year, so I think they'll be running too much to get that. So when I look at that, when I say simple math, there's more potential people also. So let's say, God forbid, Michael Parsons get knocked up, where there's 3 other guys you may be able to look at, or 4 other guys, even if you say maybe Bosa or one of these other guys has a good year. Outside of Mahomes, we don't really – I don't think any of y'all think Josh Allen's going to break it this year with, less receivers. Maybe Burrow, but shit, we don't even know if Chase is fucking playing right now. So I don't even know where the quarterback option you have. So, you figure if Mahomes misses a couple games, he's now derailed. You just have more shots at it. And also to John's point where you were saying the game's more open at the pass, that's also why I think that record keeps also increasing happening because they're stepping back more, meaning more times just to get sacked compared to years ago where, like, I looking back at it, some of these guys in the 60s.
Under 3-second release. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even get how some of these guys in the 60s and 70s were getting as many sacks. Fuck, they were only throwing the ball 10 times. I'm like,
because the quarterback, I think they kind of sacks as the quarterback obviously held onto the ball, right? And they hit him in the back. So, but the only thing working against TJ Watt, though, is does Roquan take some of his thunder away where he gets to the quarterback sometimes before TJ can. So maybe he takes some of those potential sacks away from him.
I
think it makes it easier, actually, because he doesn't have to. Now it makes it harder to double team him. Same thing with Highsmith getting good on the other side.
Right, but won't they double team TJ instead? That's what I'm saying.
No, they can't double team him the way they would because you have to worry about Roquan now. Before, you could double team him more. He was getting 19 while being double teamed. Now you're like, okay, if I double team him, I know Roquan's getting through, so he's going to get more single cut. Remember, Highsmith had a 10-plus sack season 2 on the other side.
Mm-hmm. It's like damned if you do, damned if you don't type of thing.
Correct.
Yeah, you may have to run
with like, I got Roquan, and fucking TJ goes by and attacks my quarterback. So I just think the other person I would say is Aaron Rodgers because he's probably been the closest, but I don't see it with that team. I don't see him being able to stay in the pocket long enough to throw the ball downfield. I mean, if he didn't do it with Devontae, he ain't gonna do it with. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I would have guessed Rodgers back when he had Nelson and Adams.
Like
if he didn't have
and Cobb too, Mr. Reliable. So
yeah, and then Cobb too. On those things, but if he didn't do it with those three, I don't think Rodgers would do it. I think he's past.
He ain't got the offensive line to do it with the team he's in right now, but and a lot of the other quarterbacks right now. So I kind of see your point with that, but let's keep it moving. I'm gonna do mine. So speaking about Mr. Jet. Who has the most pressure to get it done this year for their specific team? Is it Lamar Jackson? And get it done as in win a Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson or Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, Rodgers. At the end of the day, Lamar still has maybe 10 more years left in his career. Rodgers is down to 1 or 2, so it's definitely got to be Rodgers. I mean, we are out of time here. Lamar, who knows? Lamar may go to another team. Maybe they can go draft and get extra guys. This is it, like, for Rodgers. So I definitely think it's him. And then the other thing with Rodgers is they basically sold out the whole franchise to go get Rodgers, whether it was all those picks, doing whatever Rodgers wanted. The Ravens didn't necessarily sell the whole franchise out for Lamar. I mean, they maybe revamped it to go with, his best assets. But they're not like they went out here and gave up fucking multiple draft picks and, went out here and played with Randall Cobb last year and, kept coaches because Rodgers won. Like, they mortgaged the franchise for that guy.
Yeah, it's definitely Rodgers because it's a different perception on the team's failing. If the Ravens don't win a Super Bowl this year, it's a Ravens problem. If the Jets don't win a Super Bowl this year, it's a Rodgers problem. Because
how is it just a Rodgers problem?
Because the microscope's on him. He's supposed to be the savior of the team.
Yeah, I agree.
And all the decisions, to Trey's point, all the decisions are being made around him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would.
It's similar to, and I know I bring this guy up all the time. It's similar to LeBron thing. That's why it becomes where you see half the people in the comments jump up and say, "Well, LeBron lost this." Like, well, if you don't got enough help, but LeBron is the team. If you go out here and you start making coaching decisions and start making a team around this guy, we're going to have to look at you in the mirror and say, "Well, this team is based on you." So. Yeah, it's a Rodgers issue if they don't win.
All right, Grandpa Jay, what you got?
All right, Grandpa Jay.
Caribbean Rodgers.
I'm the issue. Ayahuasca has told me the truth. It's all my fault. All I do is get in the way of coaches. They are supposed to be paid to do their job. I obviously think I know more than them. Because I'm better than them, I end up getting in the way of their offensive schemes and the ideas and plans that they conjure up for months at a time, because my last ayahuasca trip told me that you need to take over this offense once again. So yes, it's on my shoulders, and I'd rather it be that way because I don't like being told what to do. And so the success of this team hinges solely on me and nobody else.
So I'm taking a little different route. I'm looking at Lamar as he's a 2-time MVP and had one of the best teams each time he's been the MVP in the league, and have gone into the championship games and or the I think divisional games, and has laid an egg. Aaron Rodgers, we can at least say he's gone to the championship game. He's won a Super Bowl. He has that ring, and he has the experience. He's been there, right? So I guess the pressure is more or less on Rodgers. Already has the ring. Will he bring the ring to New York? I don't think there's so much pressure because they didn't really do much in the offseason other than go get Mike Williams, got another receiver, but they did nothing for the offensive line. So I think when you look at pressure, I think I look at it from a landscape of that. With Lamar has been the guy, has had the team around. They went and got him some good receivers, got him a good tight end, got him a good offensive line that helped him stay in the pocket a little bit more. I think Lamar has more pressure right now because he has the teams that are good enough and been there over the last 4 or 5 years. I think we think of Aaron Rodgers over back in Green Bay when I'm still questioning if the Jets are going to finish second or third in the AFC East, right? So when I look at the Jets, I don't even know if they're going to be the best in the division. Lamar can be the best. The Ravens are the I mean, I think the reigning AFC North champions, right? So they are the champs, and they I think they could repeat this year and have the team to do so by bringing in another guy. So I think Lamar has that pressure on him. Like, fuck, I've been there. I should have beaten. He had a Patrick Mahomes team that was very weak. And what happens? I mean, I get it. It's Patrick Mahomes. It's like Tom Brady in the early 2000s. We're looking at him like that. But I think when you look at it, it's like, damn, is it me? And when you look at it in that sense, I see Lamar Jackson holding more pressure on himself than Aaron Rodgers holding more pressure on himself, because Aaron Rodgers is going to walk out of
15 years.
Hold on, but let me.
Aaron Rodgers has 4 MVPs and has won the Super Bowl 15 years.
Yeah. Exactly.
He still got one, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, but here's why I disagree in terms of where the pressure is, though, right? And talking about this season, he's 42 next year. That's it. That's it.
But that's what I'm saying. Is there more pressure on Lamar and the Ravens?
Because if the Chiefs make the deep run this year, they're not going back to the Super Bowl for 4 years in a row. All right, attrition is going to kick in. Injuries are going to happen. That cannot be sustained in the NFL. Therefore, the window is much wider open for Baltimore next year, because every Chief is all in on being the only team to ever three-peat. And this is the only time it might happen in NFL history for the next 10, 20 years. So all the pressure's on them to get it done this year, not Lamar. With Rodgers, the pressure is, we brought you to New York. You better fucking win now, this year, because you're too old to do it for us ever again.
Yeah, but I think that's where I look at
it's a wider window. It's just like throwing a football. It's a wider window. Yeah. So if you were a quarterback and I was throwing the ball and you said it's a wider window, I feel less pressure. If you tell me we're in double coverage and this shit's tight, it's more pressure to get that ball there. And that's what Rodgers is. He's in a tight, because it's now or never. At the end of the day, Lamar can walk off the field and in the back of his mind say, at least I got next year. Rodgers don't got that. This is it. Like, it is now or never. And as we say this, and that's why I bring up the 4 MVP. I know you said it before, but this is a guy at one point who people say Aaron Rodgers is supposed to be the GOAT. Nobody looks at him in the GOAT conversation. Most people put Aaron Rodgers in the top 3 conversation. When he won that first Super Bowl 15 years ago, we were looking at him like that. Now we're looking at Rodgers, where most people, when he put him in their top 5, the guy has 4 MVPs. So, yeah, we can talk about Lamar has 2, but this guy has 4, and this guy hasn't went in 15 years. Not to mention, you say, okay, he lost to Mahomes. At least Lamar Jackson lost to Mahomes. I mean, last time I remember Rodgers going there losing to Jimmy G and these guys. Rodgers is 12-10 in his playoff career. He's a 500 quarterback in his playoff career. So, yeah, I'm not.
Brady.
What I think about. Hold on. The thing I think about with Rodgers is the fact that I just don't think he get, like, and it's the care, right? Like, and if he. And he's never cared, right? Like, we go back to the Green Bay days. He's never gave a fuck.
Oh, no, he's cared.
I mean,
why is he arguing with the media if he doesn't care? That's why I know he cares.
I've never spent
as much time. You're not gonna spend as much time arguing with the media and going back and forth. I mean, the man fucking lied about his COVID vaccine because he fucking cares about everybody thinks about it. He has to tell us I'm going to ayahuasca. Who the fuck else has to tell? Anybody cares? He's the most caring motherfucker in the NFL. No, that's even more because actually I think Lamar will go home and sleep easier than Rodgers is. If they don't win, I think Rodgers is gonna go home and cry about it.
Yeah, they're building a championship roster around Lamar, which is going to be valid for 2, 3, 4 years.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, my opinion from my landscape of looking at it and the way I hear Lamar talking versus Aaron Rodgers at 42 right now, I'm putting more pressure on Lamar to get it done, because personally, I don't care about seeing Aaron Rodgers win in that aspect. So I'm looking at Lamar like, hey, you got to get it done, man. Like, let's go. You've had that 2 MVPs. You've had 2 best teams in the NFL, and the 2 times you had the MVP. You deserve this, and you got to do this. And I think that's where I'm looking at it from that landscape, where I know he has the longevity still, but I'm still looking at it as, hey, are we always going to sit here and say, okay, he's still got the longevity 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, right? Like, are we looking at that aspect? So,
yeah.
All right,
I get you. I get you.
I think Mike had a point though before we move. You had a point.
Well, no, I was just gonna say I get where John's coming from in the sense of, like, Lamar is essentially right now where Rodgers was when he won his Super Bowl. It's a question of, why haven't you won yet? If you're this good, why haven't you won yet?
I think that's where I look at the pressure is like, okay, 4 or 5, like 2 or 3 years from now, like you're saying, Jay, we're gonna be sitting here saying, Lamar, why haven't you got it done? You have 4 MVPs in 8 years. What's going on?
No, it's definitely pressure.
You know what I mean?
On Lamar,
yeah.
no doubt. But no, it's definitely pressure. I'm just saying. It's more.
Who has more?
Both of those 2 are easily in the top 3 or 4 most pressured positions.
Right.
100%. That's why it's a good question, because it's like, but they're both under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it's just both, different landscape of both.
They're both going to get reamed. Either one's getting reamed out. And the irony is they might play each other in the fucking playoffs.
Which we might have to go back to this conversation right here and be like, see, I told you.
Exactly.
All right, Grandpa Jay, go ahead.
I know Mikey had his lined up, so Mikey, fire away, because I know you've been ready to fire.
So, well, we did talk about Patrick Mahomes, and speaking of Mr. Patrick Mahomes, what is less likely to happen this year? Christian McCaffrey to have less than 1,000 rushing yards, or Patrick Mahomes to have less than 30 passing touchdowns?
Oh,
what is more likely to happen?
Less.
What is less likely to happen?
Oh,
Christian McCaffrey. Yeah, 100%. Christian McCaffrey having less than 1,000 rushing yards, or Patrick Mahomes having less than 30 touchdowns.
Oh, it's Patrick Mahomes less likely to have under 30 touchdowns. I mean, with that revamp, like I'm going to go back to it, with that revamped receiving core, with them going to implementing plays that are, I mean, Andy Reid's a freaking genius when it comes to him, and I know we have Isaiah Pacheco, and hope Clyde Edwards-Helaire can get back on the field soon, but they don't really have a running game, so they got to throw the ball. Christian McCaffrey, I feel like this is as much as we've seen Brock Purdy do well in San Francisco, I feel like it's a prove it year, because next year, guess what? He's gonna have to get paid, in the sense of, are we going to pay this guy the highest? Is this guy going to be the highest paid quarterback in the league? Are we going to make him, being that he went to the NFC Championship in his first game, in his first year, went to Super Bowl the second year? What does year 3 look like with Brock Purdy? Are we going to throw the bag at him, and is he going to take a step back? Because if he takes a step back, okay, now they got a problem, which entices me to say less likely that Patrick Mahomes has 30 and under, because I think Christian McCaffrey catches a lot out of the backfield too, and he's a key receiver out of the backfield too. So that's what I'd say with that. But I mean, I think they're both. If I could say both, I would.
He's got rushing yards though. So if McCaffrey's getting a lot of dump offs as opposed to handoffs, then that's taking away his potential to be a 1,000-yard rusher. So I'm going that way just because the ball is in Mahomes' hands all the time. He was, I believe, close to his career low last year. I think his career low is somewhere around like 25 touchdowns. I think he had 27 last year. Other than that, he's 37, 36, 40, 50. So the norm for Patrick is to be in mid-30s, and with an improved offense, there's no way that he degrades from last year's total of 27. Meanwhile, CMC starting this year not healthy compared to his last couple of years in San Francisco. So we also don't know how much he'll be used early on in the season, especially if they feel like we can win with the backup and we can save CMC for the playoff run, because in San Fran, it's all about winning the chip right now. And without CMC running the ball, you're doomed. And there's nothing else to it other than that when it comes to San Francisco's offense. I mean, we could say the same, take Patrick Mahomes out of Chiefs offense and they're doomed. But as a quarterback, every play is going through him. We know how creative he is. He has that flair of a little bit of Brett Favre magic in him every now and again. He's going to conjure up 4 or 5 plays that end up in touchdowns that shouldn't happen. And that alone takes him over the hump easily.
Trey?
Yeah, I guess at the end of the day, CMC is more likely to be hurt. Like Jay said, he's coming in injured, so I just don't know if he'll be available all year, because I do think they're going to coast at times and say, all right, we got to save this guy. Like, if he's nicked up, it's not worth risking him. Elijah Mitchell's not a bad backup, especially when you consider you got Debo, you got Ayuk, you got these other guys to lean on for a week or two, and if Purdy's the guy he's supposed to be, then you're supposed to be able to lean on him for a couple of weeks. Mahomes, everything revolves around him at the end of the day. So I just simply, because of injury risk and knowing the ball is always in Mahomes' hands, I forgot which one of y'all two said that, it ultimately, I would say Mahomes is less likely because of really proximity to the ball, simply.
I also think
got juice. Juice in the backfield if Matt can't go.
I also even take a couple touchdowns here, take a couple touches occasionally too, little stuff like that. Kittle.
I also think McCaffrey put it all on the line the last 2 years. And not saying he's taking a step back, but I think he put all on the line. One for a Super Bowl in 22, one for another Super Bowl in 23. He did. I mean, he was running harder than he's ever ran. He was doing things in the receiving game that we saw, but wasn't like as he was really involved in San Francisco more than he was with Carolina with Cam Newton and all those offensive schemes. So I feel like McCaffrey is, knock on wood, I mean, I hope he plays the entire season healthy because I love watching the guy play, but I just think he left a lot on the field the last 2 years that it's like his mileage is adding up. And remember, this is, I think, his 9th year, 10th year?
Something like that.
Somewhere around there. Like, two ACL injuries. Like, it's not good for him. So who do you think, Mike?
Yeah, so for context, guys, Patrick Mahomes, over the course of his career, he's only had below 30 passing touchdowns twice. CMC, so long as he's been the full-time starter and healthy, he's ran for over 1,000 yards, including almost 1,500 last year. But yeah, the less likely to happen is Mahomes with the passing touchdowns. Like you said, that receivers are better. It's Patrick Mahomes. And yeah, Christian McCaffrey, unfortunately, he's an NFL running back, and he's an NFL running back that in the past did have knee issues. So you have to look at it with a grain of salt as far as like, will he stay healthy? And the Niners, I think, are a smart enough organization that if they feel like they can take the load off of him at certain points, they understand who he is as a player, they will, because it is all about the chip. So yeah, Mahomes, the less likely is that Mahomes is going to get below 30 passing touchdowns. McCaffrey might simply get 800 rushing yards and 800, 900 receiving yards. And that just might be, and that's a phenomenal season. Mm-hmm. It's just, he might be split like that this year.
Grandpa Jay, take us away with your this or that.
All right, gentlemen. So this or that, will there be deja vu in Washington once again with a Heisman Trophy winner coming in to take over at center to get that ball to his receivers? So the question I'm asking is, will Jayden Daniels lead Washington to a playoff run in his rookie year like RG3 did, or will they finish last in the NFC East? This or that?
So I think the Giants are finishing last in the NFC East, so I'm going to have to go with the first one. Although I think the NFC East is the probably best division right now, the most competitive division when we look at it from top to bottom. I mean, I think that Washington could sneak into the playoffs.
You think they're more competitive to AFC North?
AFC North?
NFC North. Yeah, you're talking about NFC.
You're talking NFC only. Okay, I was thinking
NFC only. No, yeah, the AFC North.
Oh, okay. I was saying AFC North.
Even the NFC North is viable right now.
The NFC North is competitive. It's very competitive with 3 teams in Minnesota, right? But I don't know. I can see them just sneaking into the playoffs by, I mean, they gave away their best receiver to the Birds, so it's like, what? This is a fucking tough one, bro. I'm talking myself out of my answer already. Like, I don't know, like, to be honest with you, because I can see Washington, like, at the end of the year, their schedule pretty much equates to having a, hey, look where I am at. I fell into the playoffs. I'm a wild card team type of thing. I feel like that could happen, but I can't see them being the last team in the East. I think Mike's boys already got that locked in and ready to go.
Mike. The face says it all. I say Mike.
Well, no, I have to see. I've already made the bold statement, and I have to stand by it. The Dallas Cowboys are finishing last in the division, so it's got to be the other option. I think they're good enough. They could sneak into the playoffs. They really could. And I honestly, did they trade their best receiver to the Eagles? Because they still have Scary Terry. So, and it just seemed like Dotson never quite fit what they were trying to do, especially post Ron Rivera. He doesn't seem to fit.
I mean, frankly, no one really fit. They didn't really have a quarterback.
Well, that's true. Sam Howell was a good backup.
Howell was there for a little bit, but then they had Carson Wentz starting at some point. They had like 3 quarterbacks starting last year. So
Taylor Heineke. He was actually pretty good. Taylor Heineke had a good little stretch for them.
Yeah, but last year, it was like multiple quarterbacks that were playing for Washington last year.
Oh, yeah, no. Believe me, I understand. Washington has been a clusterfuck for like 10, 15 years at least.
Yeah, long time.
Outside of like RG3 for the brief time that Mike Shanahan allowed him to be healthy. Besides that, they've been a clusterfuck. But yeah, I just think I have to, on principle alone, as a Giants fan. I have to stand by the fact that the Dallas Cowboys are going to finish last in this division, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the other option.
Trade.
Yeah, we're gonna go with Washington to finish last. I'm just not in love with the Commanders and the way people are. I don't, if you told me to really rank it, I think the Giants are finish last, but I just don't think they're that far ahead of them. That all it takes I think they're easily an injury or two away from being right down there as bad as the Giants because they don't really. I mean, outside McLaurin, what weapons do they really have? I said this last week. Austin Eckler. I mean, the guy doesn't run between tackles.
Yeah, the starter.
He's not the starter either.
Robinson's gonna start.
Yeah, I mean, but that was supposed to be one of their big additions. Was supposedly that, and everybody told me, "Well, you added him." Brian Robinson is okay. I mean, I don't think he's that great. I mean, if y'all thought he was that great, why the fuck did he go like 8th round on our fantasy football draft, people?
He had the best comeback intro.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he got shot and came back. He's the comeback player of the year. He should be fucking comeback player of the year.
Man.
I'm the shit. But yeah, McLaurin's been solid. I think Jaden's gonna be good, but I just don't see it in that way, the way a lot of people do with this Commander squad. So, man, I just don't think it's that far-fetched for them to go out there, finish last. I mean, Dable's coaching for his life. Maybe he, can motivate the guys. Maybe they say, oh, shit, we fucking hate Saquon so much that we need to prove a point we can get to 6 wins. I don't know, because last place might be 6 wins, and maybe the Commanders get to only 5 or something. I mean, and I hate to say this, but if they repeat anything of RG3, if he gets nicked up, who's the backup now? Sam Howell's out there in Seattle. I don't know who's back. Who's the back? Do anybody know the backup for the Commanders?
The backup is Marcus Mariota.
Oh yeah, Marcus Mariota.
And then to back him up is Jeff Driscoll.
Yeah.
It's the Commanders. This is making it even worse. They are really Jaden Daniels a bust stop.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I don't think the Giants in Washington are very far apart from each other in record this year. Maybe one win, maybe a one loss here or there, but they're both this similar team that they don't have depth. And with the NFL, and we've been saying this for years, if the NFL does not if the NFL keeps extending games, which they will, both teams are not deep. So they lose one star player, they're gone. I mean, Mike, you can pout all you want, but it's the truth. You guys don't have depth, just like the Commanders, and it's a similar way. And I'm sorry, but I agree with the one comment on Instagram. It was like, is this guy high when he said about the Cowboys? I mean, I don't like the Cowboys, but I don't think they're I think you're high, bro. You spoke that good.
I don't understand why people got to go out of their way to shit on the Giants. I know.
All right, well, let's take it away. That was our game, this or that. Let's end this football.
Real quick.
Okay, yeah, that's right. You gotta go.
Yeah, I'll just make it real quick. They finished last because my gut tells me that Daniels may face the same consequences that AR faced last year in Indy, where he's going to try and do too much and he's going to hold on to the ball for too long, and he's going to get an NFL introduction that he was hoping he wouldn't get. And my gut hopes that I hope my gut's wrong, because I'd love to see him stay on his feet, because I want to see that RG3 Andrew Luck head-to-head for, the Caleb Jaden Daniels head-to-head for Rookie of the Year. Like, I want to see that battle all year long. And I just think it's going to add so much to the season if we can get that. I just don't know if he'll last more than 4 or 5 games, given how much this kid's probably going to have to scramble for his life.
All right. Well, that was this or that. Before I cut Jay out of his own his own question, but that was this or that. Let's take it to our NFL picks. Who do you have in the Final Four in the AFC Championship game and NFC Championship game? And are we going with the winner of the Super Bowl just yet?
I believe that was the plan.
We'll go with the winner of the Super Bowl, and we'll go around the horn, just 1 through 4, and then your champ. So, okay. Mike, since we've been beating up on you and your Giants, go ahead. He's probably going to say the Panthers, Cardinals.
Panthers, Cardinals, Chargers, and Raiders. No. So the NFC Championship game will feature the Detroit Lions and
that's it.
Yeah. No, it'll be
so much for quick.
No, because I was on the fence about
Lions. That's it. See ya.
Yeah, just win. No, it's going to be the Lions and the Niners. The Detroit Lions will win the NFC Championship. AFC Championship will be the Houston Texans. And, of course, Patrick, Michael, Jeffrey, Jordan, Mahomes, and the Kansas City Chiefs. And as much as I like the Texans this year, the Chiefs will win the AFC Championship game. And in the Super Bowl, the Chiefs will three-peat and defeat the Detroit Lions.
All right, Trey Day. Let me hear it.
You got a lot in this segment.
Well, who better than the Chiefs? Of course, the Chiefs are going to the AFC Championship. But I agree with Mike. The Chiefs are going to play the Texans. The Chiefs will defeat the Texans to go to the Super Bowl. In the NFC East, going to rematch this from a couple years ago. The 49ers are going to play the Eagles. This time, Purdy's going to stay healthy, and the Eagles are going to go down to the 49ers. Sorry, John. Don't shoot me. Yeah.
Got our ass kicked last year by them.
So we'll get to the fans. So we'll get another Super Bowl rematch because we'll get these guys again. I know, Chief 49ers, we keep getting this matchup. But again, Patrick, Michael, Jordan Mahomes will three-peat. He would do what Brady didn't do. Reed would do what Belichick didn't do. And they will three-peat. And also, Travis Kelce is going to retire at the end of the season. This will be the farewell tour for Travis Kelce, as I predicted it last year, will propose to Taylor Swift to prove that sham. As I read all day, people say they've already faked it and they've already set up a breakup date. He will propose at the Super Bowl as they hold the trophy, and the Chiefs win the Super Bowl this year.
All right, so my picks are the Philadelphia Eagles will play the Los Angeles Rams, and the Baltimore Ravens will play the Houston Texans in the AFC Championship game.
There you go, Ben. There you go, down below.
The Houston Texans will beat the Baltimore Ravens and will play the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl. And fellas, I will look like I did on February, I think 4th, 2017, with a champagne bottle, sitting in front of my recliner, celebrating the second Super Bowl in Eagles history because the Birds are doing it this year. Okay. Go Birds! Grandpa
I wish
Jim.
I had confidence in my team.
Me too. And your
We'll start in the AFC because the AFC is the obvious with who's going to host the AFC Championship game, and that's going to be Kansas City. However, they will play the Miami Dolphins, who will have home field advantage up until that game. And I say that because the AFC North is brutal this year, and I think that's going to cost the Ravens a chance to have that home playoff game that they need to get to the AFC Championship game. In the NFC, I'm going with the young and sexy Green Bay Packers, who will also have an opportunity to host a couple playoff games. However, they go down to none other than nobody because they beat the 49ers, and the Packers will play against the Chiefs. And Patrick, Michael, Jeffrey, Jordan Mahomes will hoist his third consecutive Lombardi trophy. He'll be the MVP. And like Trey said, Kelce will ride off into the sunset. And Taylor Swift, here's my bold prediction, without Taylor Swift, because they will break up before the Super Bowl this year.
Damn, I would never expect that.
Touching my pearls.
Touching my pearls.
How dare you?
Trey Day has the Chiefs. Mike has the Chiefs. Grandpa Jay has the Chiefs. And we flocking up here in Bird Nation. Let's go. Go Birds. Let's get it.
And the one of us with
let us know how crazy we are.
So for the first time in 15 years, an American man will play in the men's U.S. Open finals. And as hard as that is to believe, the last American to reach the finals was Andy Roddick in 2009, who would go on to lose to the great Roger Federer. Now, unbeknown to everyone at the time that a drought on U.S. soil would commence over the next 2 decades, the streak will finally come to an end when longtime friends Frances Tiafoe and Taylor Fritz face off in the semifinals. First shot at playing in Arthur Ashe Stadium on Championship Sunday. The fun part about this, though, is that Fritz actually predicted this moment would happen on an early morning flight a couple of years ago. Tiafoe recalled a conversation in an interview saying, he's a pretty to himself kind of dude. And he's like, bro, I think me and you are going to be the 1-2 Americans and leading the way in a couple of years. To which Tiafoe replied, dang, dude, it's like 6 a.m. and I'm pretty tired, but why not? What a great response. Why not us? Why not me? And this is the true essence of sport, where your competition also becomes your biggest motivation and at times your biggest motivator. As Tiafoe went on to mention that Fritz has also had this mindset and he's pushed him to believe in his game and he knows that they are both genuinely happy for each other to be playing in such a big match with so much at stake for the winner. Now, how much at stake other than a coveted Grand Slam? How about 3.6 million smackaroos to the U.S. Open champ? So expect a raucous crowd to be cheering both men on to go the distance and deliver a thriller in Queens on Friday afternoon. Yeah, I said Friday afternoon. Pretty oddly scheduled time at 3 p.m. But you know what? I'm all for it. And I might just have to find someone else to coach for me if it ends up being a pretty good match come 4:15.
But you know who's crazy every single week, and that is Mike with his mind. Mike, what is on your mind this week?
I'm not crazy. You're crazy. So, what's on Mike's mind this week? Well, it just so happens I came across exactly how bad the Cleveland Browns are. Cleveland Brown fans, cover your ears if you don't want to hear another bad thing about you. So, it turns out, guys, that the Cleveland Browns are cursed. Specifically, they are cursed with the number 22. So in the last 25 years, we've gone over it a million times. It's been talked about all the time with the Cleveland Browns. How many quarterbacks they had? They've had like 30. And, you know, they've run through an entire roster, NFL roster's worth of quarterbacks. Well, it just so happens that they took 3 of them with the number 22 overall pick. Who are the 3, you may ask? Well, that would be Brady Quinn, Brandon Weeden, and Johnny Manziel.
Weeden.
And what do we know about those 3 quarterbacks for the Browns? Like many others, they were god-awful. Specifically, they combined for 10 wins, 40 passing touchdowns, and 42 interceptions in 7 combined seasons. As if to illustrate this curse's point in more recent times, what year did they trade for controversial quarterback Deshaun Watson? 2022.
Nice one, Mike.
I don't know about 22. You, but they're feeling 22.
No, I don't. I think they're feeling the exact opposite. I don't think they're feeling 22 at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, when it comes to the number 22, the Cleveland Browns are absolutely cursed.
Yeah, unfortunately, like I never liked the Johnny Manziel pick. I mean, obviously he was the Heisman Trophy winner, but watching the documentary, how good could he have been if shit went different way, right? Like if
right.
He was a college phenom.
Not that good. He was a college star. That's what this is.
Yeah.
You gotta remember, only 10 Heisman Trophy winners have ever actually went to the NFL Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Heisman don't guarantee anything in the pros. Sure, Mike last week. What did Mike say about Archie Griffin?
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
2,808 yards.
He's a king in College Station, so
exactly.
College Station.
Yeah, he beat a king there.
Beat Alabama.
Legend.
The only thing missing is a national title from that
resume.
So, all right. Well, we going into our final topics of the week, and we're gonna talk about firing. And you know, there's gonna be firing at the end of this season. We just know it's coming. Just who is it? Who's on the chopping block? So, based on season expectations, who is next to be fired in the NFL and or college football? Graham, I'm actually, hold on. I'm going to throw it over to my boy. Trey Day, where do I look? This way? Okay, this way.
That way, yeah.
Trey Day, go ahead.
Okay, so, yeah, people probably expect me to say Ryan Day if they don't beat Michigan. Of course, we all know that. That's pretty obvious. What y'all didn't see coming here is we're going to take this to the NFL. Ryan Day, you are on the hot seat. We all know that. It ain't one person. It is the entire NFC East. Every fucking coach in the division is on the hot seat. Yeah, the entire NFC East. Your boy John, if he doesn't get the shit done, he's fucking gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah, he's fucking gone.
I like Sirianni.
Up there, Sirianni, if he does not get this job done, Philly will be escorting him out and throwing fucking Philly cheesesteaks at him on the way out the door. Sirianni, he's on the fucking hot seat. Dable, he was already slowly starting to go to the hot seat. I know the team is not talented, but he might fucking be up out of here. Then we got, who else do we got? Dan Quinn. New owners, they tend to do rash things. I know it's not high expectation, but Dan Quinn's not a big name. Let somebody like Belichick or somebody say, hey, I'm interested in the job. Dan Quinn will fucking be gone up out of here real quick, too. And then who we have left? The Cowboys? Oh, McCarthy? You should have been gone. McCarthy has to fucking go. McCarthy, Jerry might not let – if they lose to the Browns week 1, McCarthy might fucking be gone. Like, I don't past Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones might be the fucking coach of the Dallas Cowboys by week 3 his goddamn self. So the entire NFC East, everybody's on the fucking hot seat. All the coaches.
So my initial thought was Ryan Day, But when I'm looking at Ryan Day, and I'm going to say this as a Michigan fan, everyone in the Michigan community is going to be like, oh, I can't believe you said that. But Ryan Day's 57-8. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, he's 57-8, 2-4. He hasn't won. He's 1-3 in the college football playoff. He has not performed very well. But where I'm going to the NFL too, and that is Mr. Robert Saleh. He is on the hot seat this year to get the Jets to the playoffs. I don't think necessarily has to win, but he has to have a good run in the playoffs. Robert Saleh has been the last few years has been 4-13 his first year, 7-10, 7-10. Now, granted, last year he was hit with a plethora of injuries, but still, you are the head coach. You need to figure this shit out. And again, we're gonna say this 100 times: depth wins 100% of the time. It will win you games if you have a depth, and he does. He's built up a good defense. He's top 10 defense last year and the year before that. But offense has been atrocious, and that's what wins football games. As much as people want to say defense, and I'm one of those people, defense. But now in the NFL, offense wins football games, and if you can't move the ball down the field, you can't protect your quarterback that you're paying $69 million or whatever the fucking amount of millions that you're paying him, then you are not going to win. And I think he is showing that, hey, did we give it all to Aaron Rodgers, or could we have waited, got ourselves a young quarterback and built off that with less money and taken that $69 million and done something else with it and paid other players and got people in the door that helped build a team, because a team is what wins you a game, not just one player. So, Robert Saleh, you're on the hot seat, and I expect if they don't make the playoffs, or even halfway through the season, if they are struggling at maybe 2 games under 500, he will be fired. Grandpa Jay.
I'm going to the college football world, and the obvious answer is Billy Napier, because what in the hell are you doing or have you done to the brand of Gators football? The Gators does not associate anymore with any team, not even if they come to the Swamp, as an intimidating team. I mean, they're preparing for Florida like they're preparing for Middle Tennessee now. And I'm not dissing the program that much, nor am I trying to diss Middle Tennessee. But it almost seems like it's a gimme in their schedule, and I can't see where they win more than 3 games this year with the schedule that they have. I mean, Napier might be the only, after he gets fired this season, Florida football coach to never beat Kentucky in football. I mean, are you kidding me? Is that the reputation you're leaving Florida with, that you would have lost to Kentucky 3 straight times? By the way, they have lost to Kentucky 3 straight times, so it'll be 4 if they lose to them again this year. And that is in the Swamp October 19th, boys. So you know what tailgate we might be hitting up there. But it's Billy, man. I mean, he has dragged this team down. It's not looking just at numbers, right? They're the second worst offensive team since he's arrived in the SEC. Given before that, they were one of the best teams in the SEC and played Bama in the SEC championship game and played them pretty damn good too in that championship game, where they were a pretty high-point offense. How do you fall off the cliff that fast? He lost the locker room from the moment he walked on campus. I mean, Mikey showed me a tweet or something, a snap from one of the players in the locker room that says, "I hate this fucking team." And how can a player be willing to do that and put that on social media immediately after the game in your own locker room at your home stadium? I mean, A, have some freaking class, but B, it more shows that the coach doesn't have that locker room if players are so willing to go out on a limb after the first game of the season and do something that just, to me, disrespectful to the program. So Billy should have been gone at the end of the year. Florida's desperate because nobody wants that job. He's lucky to have this year, but he is gone at the end of this season.
Yeah, I mean, and I think you're mistaken too on that Florida SEC championship. That was Dan Mullen's team that brought him to the SEC championship game too.
That's what I said. I said it wasn't Billy.
Okay.
Yeah, I said long gone. How far have they dropped off the cliff from that not being too far removed?
He put out his tweet too. I mean, I kind of like Dan Mullen now because I've been hearing him tweet. I've been hearing him talk about this, and he's been like, I win the East. I go to the SEC championship game. I get defeated by the national champion, and I get the boot. This guy has barely won 5 games, and he's praised around for college football. And it's like, yeah, I mean, look at Mullen. I mean, yeah, his last year was not very good, but 10-3, 11-2, 8-4, all positive. Napier's been at 500 or less in a Florida program, and I agree with you. Florida used to, when I was growing up, it was Florida, Tennessee, and Alabama in the SEC. That was the teams you feared. When you saw a big game, that was Florida. When you think about going to the Swamp, it's intimidating. Now it's a joke. Now it's a joke, and that's not Florida football. And I know the boosters are. I mean, they just put in, I think, $120 million football facility with like an outdoor pool, all this shit. This is not going to. I don't think if he loses 2 more games in the next 2 or 3 weeks, he will not last. He will not get past that. He'll be fired before the 4th game of the season if he loses 2 more. So I don't know who they play next. It better be a cake. I think it's Samford, but after that, if they lose 1 or 2 more, he's gone. He's got to be gone.
Mm-hmm.
So honorable mention is another obvious one is Mike Norvell in Florida State, having started the year 0-2 at Florida State. I don't know if this keeps up. I don't know if he makes it out of this year. But
the championship last year though.
What have you done for me lately though?
That's a different. That's one of the programs, but they don't play that type of shit.
But I mean, it's one.
Remember, a lot of them weren't big on. A lot of them weren't big on him when he first got hired to begin with. So it wasn't like he came in as this enticing pick. Remember, some of the people wanted Deion to be the coach, and other people. So I wouldn't be shocked. I put it like this: if your prediction is right about Colorado, and Mike Norvell looks like that, don't be shocked if Florida State starts trying.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Then Norvell is clear.
I just find that a little aggressive. But if Deion is wanting to, but Deion was available when Norvell got hired.
Yeah, they didn't want him. Even though they didn't want him, but a lot of the fan base did. So that's what I'm saying. Like, that's one of those type of positions where let him go out there. I can see why Mike honorable mention them.
Yeah. But so that was the kind of my honorable mention. But the one that really came to mind is Dabo Swinney.
Mm-hmm.
Clemson is far removed from a national championship, and college football itself is passing him by, and he refuses to get with the times. There are 4 college football programs this year that did not have a single transfer. Clemson, Army, Air Force, and Navy. You are in the same class as the military who don't have transfers for a reason. You do it. You don't have transfers because you refuse. They don't have transfers because they're the military.
Or they
don't.
Right. I mean, I can see that. I mean, but I've been saying that for like the last 3 or 4 years. But who's next? That's the biggest thing with Clemson is like who's next to coach that. I mean, someone's gonna want to pick it up, but it's like, are they gonna go through like what Michigan did, where they're gonna get Rich Rod and Brady Hoke type of coaches?
Yeah, probably.
They're recycling.
No, because Clemson, at the end of the day, I mean, Clemson's been relevant for these years, but they're not. At the end of the day, South Carolina is still the bigger program in that state. South Carolina is the state school, so Clemson. They had a nice little run. This is it. Yeah. Like, I really do think they'll go back.
And it shows that the coordinator position is a key position. When you lose your 2 guys, you lost your recruiting trail. Because, yes, the head coach plays a factor. But, I mean, Trey, you know, as a former recruit for Division I, you weren't talking to the head coach. You were talking to the fucking
no, you talked to the position coach. You talked to you talked to your position coaches and your coordinators.
But Mike and I were talking about that.
Hell of a loss.
What we were saying is that, you know, if he was having such a hard time with having to question the integrity of the culture that he wants to preserve, he should have gone and just talked to Mike Krzyzewski, because Mike went through the same shit. Duke kept getting bounced in the second round. Duke basketball all of a sudden was being questioned. They're not in the top 5 of recruiting classes. They're not in the top 10. They're outside of the top 15. They're not in the top 25 all of a sudden. Then it's like, Mike, I know you hate John Calipari's model, but guess what's happening in college basketball? Everybody else is now doing it. So you better freaking be up with the times. It's like, just go have a conversation with him and be like, Mike, how did you just drop your ego and be like, you know what? If I don't do this, then Duke basketball as we know it, my reputation as a coach might not be that legacy I wanted to leave here. I might not leave as the winner I want to leave as. And he sucked it up. I mean, at some point, your ego has to say, you know what? This is not the best thing for Clemson football. Clemson football is not Dabo Swinney football. It's Clemson football, and he needed to swallow his damn ego or maybe at least coming off of COVID, he should be like, you know what, up with the times. Because
especially when they're doing this lawsuit. Well, especially when they're doing this lawsuit trying to go to the SEC or Big Ten, you ain't gonna last in those conferences by your stubborn ways. Now, I'll give that Clemson team some credit. They did play Georgia tough in the first half, but the fact is that offense allowed that defense to stay on the field way too much and never move the ball. And Klubnik has never been the guy. He has never been the guy. I mean, I think he's worse than DJ, which is saying a lot. Like, I think DJ's better than him, which is, I mean, he just can't move the ball. So I'll give the defense credit. He was just on the field. They were just on the field way too much.
Yeah, they got worn out. And that was what they brought up.
Game, by the way, I said 3 touchdowns and they won by 4.
You did.
So hats off to me.
And they did point that out specifically, John. They said this is Cade Klubnik, who showed over the last year and a half to 2 years that he is not the guy. And this year you had some very good transfer quarterbacks you could have gone and tried to get. Riley Leonard, Cam Ward, even bring DJ back. He's familiar with the program if you think you can get the best out of him. You know, they had the options. And it's not that if it were that players don't want to transfer to Clemson, okay, I mean, that looks bad on Clemson. That would look bad on Clemson too. But, you know, you can't necessarily fault him entirely for kids making decisions. It's the fact that he has outright said several times, we're not going for transfers. Mm-hmm. Well, then you are behind the times and you're going to lose.
It's just the truth. I mean, you see a program in the ACC, and I'm not going to toot my own horn with Syracuse, but you see a team. I watched that team for the last. I mean, I had season tickets to Syracuse via my grandfather. I've watched that school suffer because they would never get with the times, and they suffered from coach to coach to coach to coach. And when Fran Brown came in and brought in one of the most transfers that Syracuse has ever seen in program history, and to see that offense move, and I know Kyle McCord is not the end-all savior, but he looked good in the offense. And when that guy, he had belief in the offense. Now they played, I forgot who even they played, but I think
Ohio University.
Ohio, yeah. So I know it's Ohio, but Ohio's competed in the MAC and been a pretty good school, pretty good test to start off that young offense. I liked how, I mean, obviously Kyle McCord, I'm not saying he's the Heisman Trophy winner, but the offense looks different, the defense looks different, the atmosphere in Syracuse feels different around the program because they finally adapted to the times. And if you don't, you're going to be left behind. Dabo had every opportunity when he was bringing in Deshaun and Trevor and all those talent around him to keep that program a well-oiled machine for 20, 30 years down the road. Honestly, I'm glad that Alabama didn't go get him. And there's a reason why Alabama never pursued him. There's a reason why that what's-his-face from Washington is the coach of Alabama. There's a reason behind that. Because that's not how Coach Saban coached either, and that's why the program evolved as the time. So
exactly.
That's just my banter on the whole evolve of college football. Trey, did you have one more thing you want to say?
I mean, Dabo, at the end of the day, he's stubborn, and that's what's going to keep him there. As long as you keep being stubborn, then you're not going to get the recruits. You're not going to get the transfers. And, hey, I mean, I guess if that's your principles, fine, but maybe you're in the wrong job right now. Jobs change, just like anything else. If you want to sit here and say, oh, well, I don't need a cell phone because I never had one. Well, okay, you're going to be stuck in a different century. Oh, I don't need the internet because I've made it out. That's not how life works. This is not the job. Right. The job you signed up for is not the same job. It evolved, and if you're not going to evolve, Dabo, then you're going to be out. You know what's probably going to happen? Fucking Beneville probably show back up as a head coach and turn it around once he gets fired from Oklahoma or some shit. At the end of the day, a lot of us said it back then. He was the fucking brains anyway. Dabo ain't never been the brains of the operation. He's just been the mouth.
I would say he's the motivator. He's not the...
Yeah, he's the motivator. And you take that away, and now you got to go out here and win on X and O's because you ain't got the talent.
Right. We got an exciting week 2 coming in the college football ranks. Obviously, my Michigan Wolverines did not look good in their first game against Fresno State. The defense looked really good. The offense kind of struggled like I thought they would. I'm hoping Davis Warren can put it together, but we have a lot of great games. Oregon playing Boise State. I think we have a Texas A&M, I think, has another great game this week. There's a lot of good football on this week, and make sure you guys are tuning in and tuning into our socials. Also, make sure you are going to, if you were in Miami and you were going to the Miami Hurricanes home opener or the Dolphins home opener, we will be there for Tailgate Crashers. Mike and Jamie went to the USF one last week, had a great time. Check out the socials for that one. But as we always do every single week, we have to get to the match everyone's been waiting for. Rory McIlroy and Scottie Scheffler versus Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau. PGA versus LIV. It's been the talk of golf the last 5 years. and finally we're getting a match between them. I don't know the format. I don't know what's to come of it, but this is something that we've been wanting. The guy that has been most vocal against Live Golf and the two major prominent Live players that move from the PGA. So it's going to be an epic showdown in December. It's what the match honestly needed because the last few matches have been very poor. This is going to bring viewership. This is going to enhance and really feel like a Ryder Cup type mentality, type feel, where you have two of the biggest names on PGA and two of the biggest names on Live going head to head in December. I'm hoping it's more of like a rivalry where they're like sort of talking to each other but sort of talking shit, and it's going to be epic. I'm very excited. Thank you, Capital One, for putting this on. Thank you for the match for putting this on, and it is going to be a showdown. Who will win, PGA or Live? Signature. I am leading the pack at 1, but it's time for Stump the Squad.
Boy, you know it's stump time. We've reached our favorite time in the show. Thank you guys if you have kept all the way through to us with this episode of Cinco Squad. Now is when we get to try and stump each other to get that ultimate prize. You guys see that right behind me? See that belt right there? That's back to back, baby. So these guys are trying to take it from me finally. Let's see if they can do it in our 3rd edition of Stump. So if you want to play along with us, don't cheat, don't use your phone. Get on your laptops there. You get +2 if you get it right. You get -2 if you get it wrong. Like I say every week, if you beat us, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, and let us know that you are smarter than everybody on the squad. And hey, we might bring you on to play with us one time. Who knows? I'm going to switch it up a little bit this week. So, John, how about you go ahead and take us away?
Okay. So, since the AFL and NFL merger, rookie quarterbacks have how many wins in their season opener? Is it 12, 16, 18, or 25?
16.
Yeah, 16.
12.
I have successfully stumped, or the answer is actually 16. I have successfully stumped Jamie. So Mike and
High five, Trey.
are right. They are 16, 35, and 1.
If you guys don't notice, I lose all respect on my name when I get questions wrong. I become Jamie instead of the respectable Grandpa J.
Exactly.
Come on, I'll come over there and take your name. Give me that.
All right, Mike, go ahead.
Okay, so speaking of rookie quarterbacks in week 1, this year we have a chance for, I believe, at least 2, if not 3, if Nix is getting the start.
Yes.
Rookie quarterbacks.
Yes.
What is the NFL record for rookie QBs to start in week 1? Is it 2, 3, 4, or 5?
5.
4.
2.
So Jamie believes we're setting a record this year. Gentlemen, this week, I have successfully stumped Jamie and Trey. It is 5.
I'm off today. I'm just choosing low numbers.
Well, I knew at least 3 happened at least once. Y'all mentioned earlier, Griffin, Luck, and Russell. At least that year was 3.
Yeah, and then Trevor, I forget who went with him. It was like Trevor Lawrence here too.
I guess knowing how quarterback play has been for about 9 franchises, I should have guessed the big number.
Well, plus there's been a ton of times where like the rookie quarterback has started week 2, but not week 1.
Which is why I went low.
Yeah. No. I'm saying like low is, that's why I made sure to keep it low as well.
Yeah.
All right, Grandpa Jay, you're next.
All right, so Trey, thanks for inspiring this one because I did switch it up in the middle and looked up this stat to make sure I got it right this week. So, gentlemen, can you tell me how many times did the great Lawrence Taylor and Reggie White lead the league in sacks in a single season combined for their careers? Okay. Is it 2, 3, 4, or 5?
4.
My answers. 3.
We're going 4.
John?
I said 4.
He said
And what's yours, Mikey? 4 or 5?
3.
So Mikey's 3, John's 4, Trey?
I was 4.
You were 4? Gentlemen,
yeah.
This week I have successfully stumped the squad. The answer is 2, because they both only led once in their career, which is really shocking.
Well, Bruce Smith.
Yeah, but for both of them to only lead one time in their career.
No, it is shocking. But now that I think about it, I think Bruce Smith had he probably had 4 at least.
Well, Reggie had 2 careers, so I figured in the second one maybe he would have had another.
Right, exactly.
Had to be in an Eagles uniform.
All right, Trey Day, we all have a chance to tie. I'm at 0, Mike's at 0, Grandpa Jay's at -4, and Trey's at -2. So we all have a chance to tie based on. Or
come on, Trey.
I have a chance.
Okay. And then hold on, but what do we do in that case? Do we just call it a no-go and nobody wins this week? Just so we decide right now?
I guess you just give a point to each person and just call it.
I guess that everybody gets a point.
Yeah,
we've
John,
never run into that situation.
What if we all get the answers wrong? They're negative. So we all get a deduction of a point because we didn't get it right.
Yes, because nobody.
All right, go ahead, Trey Day. I guess that's a cool. I mean, yeah, we'll all get a point.
We'll cross that. I would say we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But
okay, so in honor of our guy DJU, wonderful quarterback.
Yeah, great.
What is the he throws a lot of interceptions. So, what is the only school to have 2 quarterbacks in the top 20 for all-time interceptions thrown in their college career? Purdue, Boston College, Army, or Pitt?
What is the school that has the most interceptions?
What is the only school to have 2 of the top 20 quarterbacks to be on the all-time career interceptions list in a college career? Purdue, Boston College, Army, Pitt.
You know what? I'm going to go with my gut here because I'm going to say Purdue.
Say Boston College.
I have to go. It's not Army, so I have to go away from both of you guys if I have a chance here. So Pitt.
Okay, so we have Pitt for Jamie. There was which one did y'all with Boston College? Somebody was at Boston College. John was Boston College, and Mike was Purdue.
Yep.
Okay, so today I have successfully stumped Mike and John.
We did it.
Marino and Alex Van Pelt.
Yep, I knew Marino was on that list, so I was like, well, who else might have done it?
See, I went for the fact that it was Breeze.
I figured that was the throw.
So we all tied?
I knew somebody would try to put Breeze because he had every record.
We have finally come to the point where we have a 4-way tie after Stump the Squad for the first time ever in Stump history.
I'll make you a deal. I had a tiebreaker ready. If someone can get it right, they win. If no one gets it right, I win.
Never. No deal.
Yeah, no. I got a tiebreaker ready too. But
all right, so
my point.
Whoever. Okay, so
I know how valuable points are to win this game.
We can decide it with our teams this weekend, right? So we can either do college or NFL. I would assume NFL because Jamie, are you going to do?
No,
Kentucky?
I'm not doing NFL. I don't trust the Steelers.
I was just saying, which team has the most? Which team puts up the most number of touchdowns?
No, I don't trust
not
points.
just touchdowns.
Yeah, me and Mike don't trust the offenses.
That gives me the best chance because we're playing Washington at home, so I would say that's unfair.
Yeah, no, I'm not putting this into the hands of fucking.
Yeah, you're on a neutral site, Mike.
Watch Russell Wilson put up his career number in 9 touchdowns.
Maybe so, but I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. And we have the worst receiving core in football. I'm not trusting that.
I think the only way to settle this fairly is to say we all predict the score in one game, and the person closest to that final score gets the point this week. If you want to do it that way.
The total amount or just the score?
The total points in one game. Let's do it. Let's do it for Jets and 49ers if you want to do it.
I was going to say, let's do it for Monday night.
And then we could post it. And we'll post it in our stories prior to the start of the game so you'll see the totals.
I'll do it Monday night. We can do tomorrow or today's
tonight.
You want to do it tomorrow night? Well, tonight, sorry. You want to do it tonight for the game?
Okay. Let's do Ravens Chiefs for all the marbles. We're going to predict. So everyone doesn't know, we all tied. So we're all at -2. in episode 127. So, in order to break the tiebreaker, we're all going to do the total points in the Chiefs-Ravens season opener game. Closest to the number wins.
Let me think about this.
Mike, go ahead.
Total points. Closest to the number wins. Chiefs. I will say a total of 54 points.
I'm going to say a total of 58 points.
46. I don't think it's going to be a lot of scoring here.
Yeah, I'm right on that same number with you. I'm a Price is Right you. 47.
All right, so Mike goes with 54. I go with the high number of 58. Trey Day goes with 46. Thinks it's going to be a low-scoring game, which is weird because that's still pretty high-scoring. Jamie is going to go for 47. Try to one up Trey.
That high. That's 23 to 23 is 46.
So, John, what were you?
I was 58.
And Mikey is?
54.
54.
How ironic that you take the high score in this one.
Well, I had 58 in my head the entire time when you first said that. I was like 58, and in my head I'm thinking like, okay, so someone's gonna take it under or right below me or something like that. So
watch, it's gonna be 56.
Be the decider. We will post on our story who wins Stump the Squad and who will be the winner. But make sure you guys are tuning into the socials. We are going to be at the University of Miami, well, the same stadium, Miami Gardens, Hard Rock Stadium, to see the Miami Hurricanes tailgate, and as well as the Miami Dolphins tailgate. So make sure you guys turn into their stories. We're going to be, if you're at the tailgates, come see us. We'll have beer, we'll have seltzers, we'll have water, we'll have everything, and we'll have trivia for you on the teams. We'll engage with you, and of course, you have to follow us because, I mean, why wouldn't you, right? So make sure you guys tune in to socials at Cinco Squad Pod 05. Enjoy the season opener. Enjoy NFL season. We'll see you guys here next week. See you.